to the first ever episode of the Blue Chip Recruits podcast. I'm your host, Nick Rose. I'm joined today by the lovely gentlemen all around me, Dalton, Camden, and Logan. How we doing, fellas?
Doing good. Oklahoma week, so a lot to look forward to.
Sir, living life. Excited for that matchup this weekend for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Just looking forward to a great game. Hopefully, one of the corners plays this weekend.
Dude, so many out. But with the college football playoff poll or rankings, whatever they call them now, dropping on Tuesday, November 3rd, let's go take a little peek and see who we all have in there. And I'll start with you, Logan. You've had some strong feelings about this. What are some teams that you think could possibly sneak in there that most people wouldn't even associate with being competitive for that right now?
And we were chatting it up a little bit pre-show. Anything ACC related, Louisville, Virginia, any of those teams, Notre Dame, since they're practically in the ACC, they're probably going to sneak in if they win out. Miami is 10 in the AP poll. So they're looking good as is. A couple of rough games. They blew out in the fourth quarter Stanford, but it wasn't looking good for the first three. So just anybody ACC related, and then the Big 12 as well. That's a mess. Cincinnati with Sorsby.
There's so many different teams.
There's so much going on in the Big 12. Cincinnati with Sorsby, great offense. Anything Big 12. It's a mess over there. Houston is 7-1 somehow with Connor Wagman, who got cast off by Texas A&M. So, yeah, just everybody at the top of the Big 12 and ACC, you got a chance to get in.
Yeah, I mean, speaking on what the first team that I heard you mention, the Miami, there's a scenario right now where they go undefeated rest of the season and they still don't even play for the ACC championship game. That is how insane the ACC is looking right now. I mean, you could have Virginia and Georgia Tech sneak in. Miami could sneak in. You can even have an argument for Louisville getting in there and winning the ACC championship and sneaking in and taking a spot from a potential two-loss SEC team. I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios that could be going on right now. Camden, who do you think could possibly be an absolute surprise for the people?
Well, I mean, I think I'm kind of the opposite. I think one ACC team gets in. I think that's Georgia Tech. And I think two teams from the Big 12 make it. I think Tech and BYU both end up sneaking in. I think Tech is going to finish 12-1. They'll run the table the rest of the season and win the Big 12 championship. And then BYU will have two losses, and both of those will be to Tech. I think they'll lose in the regular season. They'll lose in the Big 12 championship game, and that loss in the Big 12 championship game is like not enough to knock them out. I think both of those teams somehow make it. And honestly, I think I'm not high on Vandy at all. I am not a believer in Diego Pavia, so I think that they drop this weekend to Texas.
Wow, Texas is favored.
Texas is
the game's in Austin, and I mean that I've been around Austin for games. The environment there is crazy. I won't lie, but I think, and I was doing this. I was kind of trying to keep bias out of it, but I think Tennessee finishes the year 3-0 or 4-0, and I think they sneak in to that 11 seed.
Really?
Yeah.
Dalton?
I think it's interesting, especially the SEC, because the SEC is kind of scoreboard watching right now as a conference because they want as many teams in. They could get as many as 5, in my opinion, but they're not going to be able to if the ACC keeps rolling like it is rolling right now. And I'm of the opinion that, with Logan, that I believe the ACC is going to get 2 teams in. I think it's going to be Georgia Tech, and I think it's going to be either one of Virginia or Miami. I think if Miami wins out and makes it to the ACC conference title game, no matter who loses that, I think they're both safe. The Big 12, on the other hand, the Big 12 is interesting to me because I think BYU is going to beat Texas Tech, and that's just purely off the fact that Morden's been so banged up this year. Mm-hmm. I know he's scheduled to return to action this weekend, but this has been multiple times he's had to sit out games with multiple different injuries. So I just think he is who he is at this point. And even if he does play next week versus BYU, I don't think he's going to be 100%. So I think the Big 12 gets 1 bid. I think the ACC gets 2 bids. I think the Big Ten. The Big Ten's pretty straightforward. It's probably the most straightforward conference. I think they get 3. And I think the SEC is going to get 5, no matter who those 5 are. I think the SEC is going to have 5, 10, and 2 teams. It just all depends on who's going to get it. And I think Tennessee could get it, but I don't know. I'm kind of leaning Vandy right now as again that 5th seed in the SEC.
5 SEC teams is a lot.
I know it is a lot, but just the way it's breaking out a little bit. Maybe it's SEC bias, but
I'm feeling there's a slight SEC bias there, Dalton.
The Big Ten's set on 3. They're going to get 3. No one else is really close.
Yeah.
It's Indiana, Oregon, and
Ohio State. The reigning champs.
Yeah. Best team in the nation by far so far this season, I think.
So far. They've had their moments where they haven't looked necessarily great, but they have won every game convincingly. The only one where I would have said that the other team even stood a chance at some point was the Washington game. And that's where I have that Oregon, you were talking about 3. Oregon has to go to Washington to end the season. Yeah, that is going to be a very difficult game for the Ducks. Who I have potentially sneaking in. I can see a world where there's 3 ACC teams and not one named Miami.
Yeah,
I don't think that's
Louisville could definitely sneak in there. I was looking at their remaining schedule. They have a fairly favorable remaining schedule, and if they win out, their only big loss would be to Virginia, who would also, in my mind, be in because they're in that ACC championship game against Georgia Tech.
Plus, that game went to OT, right?
That game went to OT.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. It was 30-27. And it was OT. Granted, Louisville lost at home, but they went on the road and beat Miami the next week.
Right.
So that's not crazy in my mind to see that. Another team potentially sneak in down at 22, Houston. Houston could run the tables on the remaining schedule, go into that Big 12 conference title game and beat, I would assume it's going to be BYU simply due to the health of Morden. But BYU's also on there. They haven't really won all that much, or they have won all that much. They're undefeated, but I don't see a great win necessarily on there, but they're going to get in. But in general, there's a lot of shakeup that could happen. I could not see a world where there's 5 SEC teams. I think this committee is going to take a lot more one-loss schools from the ACC, Big 10, Big 12 compared to 2-loss SEC teams like Tennessee. I don't think if Tennessee gets in with or has 2 losses, they could potentially be looking at being out compared to some of these other teams, Dalton.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'm just going the Big 12. I'm kind of just trusting the Big 12 a little bit to cannibalize itself. It does every year. Yeah, Big 12 teams lose to teams that they shouldn't. So
I mean, the SEC's been doing that a lot recently too.
The SEC has been doing that. And shoot, this is just me assuming the SEC has 5 10-win teams. They could very easily not have 5 10-win teams. So I'm trusting the Big 12 cannibalizes itself. The ACC is interesting because those top 3 teams we mentioned, or I guess you could say top 4, with Louisville, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Miami, they all don't play each other the rest of the year. Not one of them plays each other, which is great scheduling, a little bit of luck, a little bit of the ACC just not being a good football conference. So I don't know. I could see the ACC getting 3, but I don't think there's a world, in my opinion, where both the ACC and the Big 12 get more than 2 teams in it each. I think it's either they both get 2, they both get 1, which I don't think is very likely. But I just think there's going to be 5 spots remaining. Now that might go to another Big 12 team, but I think the committee has shown in past years to have a little SEC bias themselves, excluding Alabama. And what year was that? Where Saban cried on national television. What year was that?
I don't remember, but that was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the point. So I think the SEC is somehow going to weasel their way into 5 teams.
Who do we say is the group of 5 team that makes it? Are we all dead set on one team, or
I'm dead set on Memphis.
I think it's going to be Memphis.
I think it has to be Memphis after.
I think it has to be South Florida. I think they play again in the AAC, and I think South Florida whoops them in the comeback. I mean, Memphis has a way worse loss. That UAB loss, they were almost 28-point favorites, I believe.
A week after UAB.
UAB fired Trent Dilfer.
Fair, firing your head coach is a proven way to be better the next week in football for some reason.
That's not even a troll. That's actually true.
Yeah, it happens every time.
They just have something to play for at that point, I guess. It's crazy.
I say that to also include a little James Madison propaganda. I believe they only have 1 loss. do they potentially sneak in? Because if they run the table in the Sun Belt, their one loss is to Louisville, and it was only a 14-point game. They only play Marshall, App State. They have Washington State, so that's a little bit more of a competition. And then they have Coastal. So if they go 12-1, and we see the AAC kind of cannibalize itself, is there a world where it's not crazy to say James Madison can sneak in?
Yes, I agree, but it takes Memphis and USF
Both losing.
somehow getting to 2 losses both.
But then you'd have Navy as well.
Navy,
I think
Navy,
Navy gets 2 losses.
Navy's a pretender.
worst strength of schedule in college
They're
football.
not good.
136 out of 136. They have not exactly blown out all of their opponents, and they're playing probably the most explosive offense in the country, certainly the most explosive in G5 in North Texas this weekend.
No,
So
I'd say USF is the most explosive. I mean,
Well,
they dropped 63 on North
they did.
Texas.
Did.
That
But,
is true. But 608 yards,
600 yards out of a quarterback?
Messamakers,
I just like-
something.
AAC record. AAC record.
Yeah, I think maybe a more consistently explosive offense in USF. The offense that has a bigger chance to just put up video game numbers to me is North Texas.
I mean, shoot, I think Navy loses every single game the rest of their schedule. Except to look at their schedule. They played at North Texas, at Notre Dame, they play USF, and they play at Memphis.
They-
That's
they-
not-
they-
that's
they-
not
they-
that
they-
crazy.
So-
That's not that
Army
crazy.
Navy, I don't like betting on or like putting my chips in one
No,
corner because
no,
who
no.
knows? I mean, it's going to be 7-6 in the fourth quarter, so who knows what's going to happen.
It's a national pastime right there. If you're not watching Army Navy, what are we doing?
I enjoy the crap out of it. It's not always good football, but it's fun football.
Hey,
It's fun football. That is
fun.
what it is. It's true American back to your roots. Army v Navy. But with that segment out the way, unless we want to touch on that a little bit more, Camden?
I just want to go back to the ACC for a second. There's no way they get in. They already have 3 losses. But I would like to look at SMU as a spoiler team.
I do like that.
SMU.
They're 3-1 in conference play right now. Of course, they have Miami and Louisville still on the schedule. Both of those games are at home though, and they could play spoiler and like we said with the other conference cannibalizing themselves.
SMU could definitely cannibalize it, but they're coming off a loss to Wake Forest.
Forest.
That's a bad Wake. They're 5. Well, hold on, they're 5-2. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Wake Forest is 5-2.
and it was at Wake Forest. So
Yeah, but you look at their wins. Their wins are Western Carolina. They barely beat Kennesaw State, which former
Oh
running
my
back coach
goodness.
Jerry Mack has done a fantastic job
He
getting
has.
them bowl eligible.
He has.
doing great this year.
But lost to NC State, who's fired their coach. They've barely beat Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech. That team's been terrible. Oregon State, bad team.
Terrible
And then they beat SMU in a 1-point game. This is not a.
But then you look at that Georgia Tech. They took Georgia Tech to overtime.
They did take Georgia Tech to overtime. I will give you that. Georgia Tech on the road has not been the most fantastic team. They struggled-ish against Duke, but ended up winning by 9 points. But Georgia Tech on the road has been a completely different team than Georgia Tech at home. Georgia Tech at home has been dog-walking people. So
Except Clemson, but
it's Clemson.
yeah,
It was
But
the
this
beginning of the,
even-
it was the
okay,
beginning of the year,
even-
Clemson.
Even bad Clemson has 4 players at every position. That is a 4 or 5-star recruit.
I mean, they have
One
multiple
of the best athletes
guys.
their state has ever seen.
And
And as much as I don't necessarily love the way, or love him personally, or the way he talks about college football, I still think Dabo Swinney's an elite coach. So
that's fair. I can agree with you with that.
I just think also the way Georgia Tech plays, it doesn't really, lead to huge wins against, quality teams. The ground and pound, Haynes King getting hit 30 times. They're kind of like Vandy. I don't think Vandy's going to blow out an SEC team. I think every game's going to be close, no matter how good the SEC team is. I think they go to Kentucky, or Kentucky comes to them. I think that's going to be close, just because of the style of football they play. So all this to wrap around back to, I think SMU is going to play spoilers to at least one of the teams remaining, no matter if that's Miami or Louisville, because I like Kevin Jennings. Kevin Jennings has the capability to be really good, or he could be really, really bad.
That is very true.
If he gets hot,
we saw what happens when they got hot last year. They
year.
made it to the playoffs, lost back-to-back games in the ACC championship,
and he
then
looked really bad at Penn
he
State.
looked horrific at Penn
Well, he
State.
threw 3 picks and 2 of them were pick sixes.
Yes. And
Yeah.
2 pick sixes, I think, in the first half. Like, it
Yeah.
was just bad.
But yeah, I think the problem with anything more than 2 teams in the ACC is there's too many options that you could point to. Be like, they could beat that team. So like we're talking about SMU now. Cal has one of the most promising young quarterbacks in the country. They play Louisville and they play Virginia. I think they have Virginia this weekend, Louisville next. Virginia is going to California. California is going to Louisville. But again, it's another team that like you play them on the right week. You got a good, talented young quarterback who, if he's having a good game, is really hard to stop. It just feels like it's another year where the ACC is going to look strong through like week 8 or 9, and then you're going to get to the double-digit weeks, and they just start cannibalizing themselves from within.
I want to point out that I find it absolutely hilarious that the ACC schedule makers made Cal travel to Virginia to play Virginia Tech and then have to go back home to play against Virginia. That is hilarious.
That is really funny.
It's so stupid. Expansion's so stupid.
It is.
What
They've
is it
got to
that
fix
ACC
that.
is so bad.
They have to fix that.
Yeah.
Like the scheduling with with expansion has been the big problem. Like UCLA playing noon kickoffs, and was it Indiana? They had a noon kickoff against last week.
Yeah, it was Indiana. It was that game, and then Nico threw that pick six. He had a really bad
Yeah, he
game.
played
Indiana
horrible.
looked really good.
Yeah, was it Lincoln Riley who was complaining
Yeah,
about that
I think
this
it was
season?
Lincoln Riley. Earlier.
Probably.
They
He
had
likes to complain.
They had like a
They had like
12 like a Eastern time. It was like a 10:15 kickoff, like 10:15 p.m. kickoff, and then the next week they go to whoever and have a noon kickoff, which is at 9 a.m. for them. And he's complaining about these hard weeks.
Modern day college football, Camden. Modern day college football. Do we have anything else to say about this playoff prediction? Camden has more to say.
I want to hear, who do y'all, like, as of right now, who do you think wins the title?
In Ohio State. It's got to be Ohio State. To run it back, there hasn't been a team that has looked as competent as them across the board this entire year.
I guess this is. I think it's Indiana. I just trust the quarterback more, and that's what it comes down to. Like, Ohio State's a better team overall, yes. I think when you get down to those moments late in a playoff game, when it's great defense versus great defense, the better quarterback's going to win you at the game. And I think Mendoza's the best quarterback in the country. So
The thing with Ohio State that makes me nervous is we've seen Sane go against one true elite defense. And I understand it was the first game of the year, but he didn't look good. Then they've kind of been coasting against a bad schedule the rest of the year. And they don't play anybody until Michigan. And they have shown in the last 4 years they don't beat Michigan.
They cannot beat Michigan.
they cannot.
On paper, they should blow them out this year, in my opinion, because I don't think Underwood's.
Bryce Underwood legacy game incoming.
I mean, it would surprise nobody. I don't think I trust Sane yet, which is crazy because he's in the Heisman talks, but he hasn't played anybody.
Yeah, he's in the Heisman talks because was it Wisconsin last week or the week before he had like 400 yards.
Yeah, that
against
was
him.
ridiculous.
Like, it's Wisconsin, man. MTSU made Wisconsin look bad for a half. Like,
So
that's just how it is.
I trust Indiana most out of any Big Ten team, and I think it's SEC bias. I think if Bama is right, Bama could beat any team because they got those receivers. There's just some about them that's kind of like making you hesitant, but I think if Bama is right, and if you get Bama that play Georgia and you get Bama that play Tennessee, I know Tennessee made mistakes, but if you get that sort of Bama, they can beat Ohio State, they can beat Indiana, they can beat Oregon. So SEC bias pick, but I'll go Bama right now.
And
I don't hate Alabama, but my problem is run on both sides of the ball. Jam Miller's not been great.
That's true.
And they can't stop the run.
That's fair.
Which I think was the most infuriating thing if you're a Tennessee fan. They barely ran the ball in the first quarter, and Alabama had already taken a 2-score lead by the time the run game got going. And it's just like, I think they run into a great running back, and it's going to be hard, especially in the playoffs, where like, yeah, they played Missouri. Ahmad Hardy didn't have a great game. Ahmad Hardy doesn't have the offensive line that Ohio State has, that Indiana has.
But Ohio State hasn't been able to run the ball on anybody either, though.
True.
that's true. I think, and call me crazy, no big game experience really. Genuinely, I think this is the year that A&M gets it done.
I do
Oh.
not. I
Nick
do
is not going to like that.
I do not.
Like
Don't tell Glennon. I think A&M is a quality opponent this year, believe it or not. But the year they get it done, I could see it happening. It'd take a lot in their first playoff game to actually convince me that they're going to win it all. Or even in the SEC championship, because I think they'll get there.
yeah.
But they're going to have to win that and look good doing it for me to feel like, okay, this is an A&M team that can actually challenge somebody for a national championship. Elko's done a fantastic
Elko is
great.
Elko's
Quickly
so
rising
good.
up the best coaches in college football.
I have a question for y'all. Do y'all seriously trust Marcel Reed at this point?
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't.
I think
I
you're
think
a little.
there's
I don't.
too much
Marcel-
game-to-game difference.
There is.
Marcel Reed makes great throws, and then multiple times a game he'll make horrendous throws. No matter if that's a decision. The LSU game, one got tipped, but that decision he made in the red zone, that pick he threw, I understand he played great the rest of the time. That was a horrific decision.
And I think that's my big problem with Reed. Most of those mistakes come in high-leverage situations where, like, it flips the game. He throws a pick in the red zone, or they're on, like, a 4th and 1, a 4th and 2, and he makes a bad decision. That's where most of his mistakes come, which most of his mistakes come from, which is what worries me even more.
I don't worry about the receivers. I don't worry about the running backs. Their O-line kind of gets beat every now and then, but I don't worry about them. It's just I don't think I trust Marcel Reed yet in a late fourth quarter game to go get a game-winning drive. Now, they play some dudes the rest of the year.
Did you watch the Notre Dame game?
The Notre Dame game? Okay, that's fair.
Is Notre Dame good?
Are we sure Notre Dame's good? Are
Notre-
we sure?
I mean,
Are we
I'm
sure?
not.
I would also feel confident in a game-winning drive when I have 34 points on the board.
Marcel Reed, they have a hard schedule the rest of the way, and if they go 12-0, I'm hopping on the bandwagon. But at this current moment,
hard schedule.
Hard
Well,
schedule.
don't
They have
Hard
they're,
schedule.
They're at Missouri.
They go at Missouri. I can
Okay,
give you
lost
that.
to
That was a
Iowa.
good
They
one.
lost to
Missouri
Iowa.
is one of those teams. Again, any given week, Ahmad Hardy has 2-3 big plays.
They
Well,
don't
at this
have-
point,
they
they don't have a quarterback. They don't have a
They're
quarterback.
on their
Got
third
hurt.
string.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
right.
forgot about
They're
that.
on
They're on their third
Got
string.
hurt. That's on me.
And their backup got
And
hurt
Sam
too.
Horn
Yeah.
broke his leg early in the year.
Oh
and
my
so
gosh, dude.
they're down to their third string
To be fair,
quarterback.
Ahmad
That
Hardy,
could mean
45
Ahmad gets
carries.
like 30 carries.
That
and
could
has
also
like
mean that
250 yards.
defenses are loading the box with 8 guys every
A&M has one
every
of the
play.
best as one of the best run defenses in the country.
Yeah, no. I'm just like, I don't think, I forgot Missouri's quarterbacks were hurt. But even then, like,
They host South Carolina after that. They
That's-
play Samford,
Who might play spoiler.
and then they go to Austin to play Texas. I can give you the Austin game. The game against Texas. That will be a fun one to watch on Friday, November 28th. But
Yeah.
I don't. Other than that, I'd say they could probably ease their way into the playoff or SEC championship without a whole lot of looking and doing it.
And that's fair. And the thing about A&M, I've been hating on them. The thing that gives me confidence is that defense. Their third down defense is one of the best in the country. They went like 2 weeks without allowing a third down conversion when they played Auburn and I think Mississippi State. Like, they had an obnoxious streak. And Cassius Howell is
Oh my god.
insane.
so good.
He's the best defense, in my opinion, the best defensive lineman in the SEC because when he truly wants to get after the quarterback,
Oh my
there's
gosh.
not anybody can stop him except if they hold him, and he gets held every single play.
I mean, they lead the country in sacks.
Their linebacker plays insane. Will Lee's pretty good out on the boundary. So their defense is for real, and they got stud receivers. So I don't want to sound like I'm hating on them because I think they could make a deep playoff run. I just don't know if I'm natty yet for them.
Outside of Auburn, what's the best defense they've played after Auburn? Is it Notre Dame?
LSU.
It's probably LSU, who
LSU
they
has
did
a
hang
great
49
defense. LSU, I think LSU kind of quit before that
Yeah,
game. But
like-
when LSU,
Especially since Kelly's fired now, they probably knew going in that he was on the very
LSU's
hot seat.
defense was the real deal, though.
Yeah, they were and great again, and it's at Death Valley,
At
so
Death
great
Valley.
performance. So, but like those are the only two defenses I think are worth anything they've played on their schedule. But then they get to Texas, who I still think is a top 10 defense of the country. I think
I
Texas's
agree.
defense is better than LSU's personally, and it's at Austin. I think that's a game where I'll be watching to see like, can I really trust Texas A&M this year?
Florida. That Florida defense is slightly underrated. They haven't really given up many points to anybody. A&M hung 34 on them. That's the most by far they've given, or by a full score. The other one was Miami, who put 26 on them. I don't know. The more I'm looking at it, the more A&M looks like they could seriously contend. I just don't know if I trust it given the track record of A&M. I get it was under Jimbo Fisher, different coach. Elko's done a fantastic job. Given A&M's history of what they've done in the past, I'm not sure I can trust them for a natty.
That SEC title game is going to be huge. It's crazy to say that it's a kind of a make or break game in the SEC title game. But if they go to SEC title game and they play, I think it would be Georgia or Ole Miss are the two right now. I'm pretty sure. Ole Miss's defense is kind of not that great. So
Not Bama?
oh, Bama, I'm
Bama.
bugging. I
Yeah,
completely
I was
forgot.
about to say.
completely forgot Bama.
Because
But
Bama
Yeah.
has the head against
As of
Georgia.
right now, Alabama is second.
Both
the
A&M
tiebreakers.
and Alabama are 5-0 in conference play.
So that's if A&M goes out and they don't even have to like win that game, but if it's like a brawl and they lose in the last seconds of the game, I think you can trust them. But there's just maybe it's just A&M's history and then maybe 8-4, them going 8-4 every year is just rubbed off on me. But
Hey, it's still
They'll have a
possible.
chance. Still possible.
It is still possible.
I think we should abandon that dream for now. But yeah.
Hold your head up high. Don't abandon it. They are not a quality
They
opponent.
are going to lose
They
to
are going
Samford.
to lose
Hey.
3 games in a row. They've done it before against App State. They will do it again. I'm kidding. No. A&M's probably going to end the season undefeated in my eyes. But
Yeah.
for an SEC team, I want to put this out there. Who's the SEC team who, if they get in, you think can run the tables compared to all the other teams? Because we know Bama and Georgia are probably going to get in. Do you have confidence in them running the table? Like running it all, winning it all, going out there.
I have trust in Bama.
You have trust in Bama.
I don't trust
He
Georgia.
did say they were his pick to win it all, so.
Georgia's defense has been barbecue chicken every time they play a good offense.
Yeah.
That's not. They've given up.
It's
40.
not. Yeah,
It has not been great.
And
it's not your typical Kirby Smart defense.
To be fair, it's not your typical Kirby Smart offense.
true.
That is also
Gunnar
true.
Stockton looks so good every week, dude. Every week I'm just like, how did we let Georgia get a guy that good?
But in a game, I don't trust them if they go against like an Oregon where they have to go score for score. Where Oregon actually has a very good defense because Tennessee's defense isn't great and Ole Miss defense isn't great. So I just don't trust them, especially that defense. That defense is legit. I don't want to say they're bad, but they're not very good. So.
And I know I was talking about this before the show, but a team that if Texas runs the table, makes it to the makes it to the playoff.
Is this with Arch? Are we talking about with this being with Arch?
I'm talking about this with you with yes, realistically.
All right, so no. No.
I mean, but their defense is elite.
Yeah.
They're
It is. It's
like
really good.
that and it's shown up in games. Like, I mean, like we said, Ohio State was first game of the season. Hold Ohio State to 14. Other than that, you had the Florida game. That game, I don't even like that. That game was stupid. And then I don't even want to talk about
that game was on drugs, I will say.
Yeah,
Florida-
there was a
It
lot
was,
going
it was
on
like
in that game.
here, you have the ball. No, you have the ball. No, you have the
Yeah,
ball.
it's a lot easier for a team to score when they keep getting the ball on the plus side of the field.
Yeah. Other than that Florida game, they gave up 38 to Mississippi State this past week.
Shapen was cooking. that
Shapen
second
was
game.
To be
cooking.
fair, Mississippi State is an underrated, really good offense.
Yes.
Yes. But other than that, they haven't given up more than 20 points all season.
Like, I mean, we were just talking. We started with Georgia there. Mississippi State hosts Georgia, not this weekend, but next weekend. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think that's kind of a test of what he's saying is like, if you have to go band for band with a great offense, if Georgia's defense doesn't come to play in Starkville, that's one of those games where, like, I wouldn't necessarily be shocked to see Mississippi State do it.
Trap game
because.
potential.
We're
for
saying
sure.
all of this knowing that Mississippi State is 0-4 in conference play.
Has not won a conference game in, what, 13 games?
Yeah, but
Something like
honestly,
that.
Like 2
honestly, that
years.
almost makes me feel like it's more likely that at some point they have to
They
win one, right?
Yeah, you
Like
think
you're
they
due
have
at a certain point, you have to win a game.
Yeah.
And State's been able to score on everyone really, except for they couldn't score on A&M,
Yep,
which is
true.
fair. Florida, they should have won the Florida game. They were in the red zone, but they've kind of been able to score on most people.
Oh my gosh, that Florida game.
Dude, you threw a pig
What
to
was
a
Chafin
defensive
doing?
end
I don't
who
wanna
drops
talk
back in
about it.
coverage in the flat, dude.
I don't want to talk
What is
about it.
wrong with you, Blake
And-
Chapin?
And honestly, you could have, Shapen, he's been doing this since he was at Baylor.
That is
honestly.
true.
He's great in the first 58 minutes. He gets to those 2 minutes, you're going to see something ridiculous. He's going to do something.
To be fair, why are you passing the ball? You could have. They had timeouts, right? They could have ran it up the gut, settled for the field goal then and there.
Levy's like late game management. It's so weird. I was talking to a friend about this. I want to give Levy credit for making them like competent, But at the same time, I don't want to give him credit because his late game decisions have been really bad this year.
Yeah, I
So-
think that's kind of the same thing the same thing you see, not in the same vein. Auburn's not competent, at least, but like they're in these games week after week. They're playing good teams and it's close, and then Hugh Freeze calls the dumbest play you've ever seen or makes the dumbest decision you've ever seen, and it's just like, oh, that's the game, that's it, it's over.
Yeah, all 4 of Auburn's losses were
One score, right?
They lost by 10 to Georgia.
Yeah.
But every other loss is a 1-score game against Oklahoma, A&M, Georgia, Missouri.
I mean, Auburn's defense is good.
They're very good.
So
Very
good. And that's why, like, I think, like, we make weekly predictions for our social accounts for WUTK. And I kept picking Auburn because I was like, one of them has to work.
It has
be
to
this
go
week.
down at some point. Yeah.
I'm looking at Mississippi State's schedule right now. They're 4-4. They will probably find a way to go bowling. But if they do, they have the funniest way to do it by beating Georgia at home and then beating Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl at home and having 2 of the best wins in the entire country even, and somehow finding a way to just go 6-6.
I'm personally here for it. I would love to see it.
Vanderbilt last year beat number 1 Alabama and then goes 6-6 and just make a bowl game off of that.
I mean, Oklahoma beat Bama last year, and they were horrendous.
Bama just couldn't beat bad teams last year.
Oklahoma lost to. Did they lose to Navy in the bowl game, or did they beat?
They lost to Navy.
Yeah,
They did.
They lost that end of season
remember
was
Twitter
a bit
trolling
old.
how
they got screwed with injuries last year.
That is true.
Oklahoma got screwed with injuries.
Whew. All right, we've got a lot off our chest there for the college football playoff. Moving on, Logan, you did a little bit of survey for WUTK, Rock
did.
Solid Sports. Conducted your own thing and found a little bit of mid-season awards. I want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Who do everybody have? I want to go down the list of all these awards for the Heisman.
Okay, I will note all of those votes were made before the most recent
Yes, that is a very
so
important
this
to
was
say.
after week 8. Now, I would say my vote has changed for Heisman, which is why I want to say that. It was Simpson whenever we did the voting for that article. It's now Mendoza.
I agree. I think with the article, I participated in the voting for the article. I'm 95% sure I picked Simpson. Now I think it's Mendoza. I think his stats are like they just jump out at you. It's and the thing that does it for me, the 73% completion percentage. That's almost unheard of. 3rd in the nation in passer rating, 4th in the nation in total QBR. I think those 3 things are really what do it for me.
I'm still gonna rock on Ty Simpson. I love Ty Simpson, which is crazy because I actually said before the season started I thought he was the reason they would go 8-4. So but I've turned it around. His play's been really good all season. He doesn't turn the football over. He makes insane throws. He's insanely accurate with the football, and I just think he's gonna. The stats might not be as good, but when you look at the schedule and who he did it against, these last 4 before South Carolina, last 4 weekends they played Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, and Tennessee.
Yeah, great teams.
Indiana doesn't really play anybody very good the rest of the year. So, do they play Ohio State actually? I don't think
No,
they
they
do.
don't.
They don't
No.
play Ohio
They
State.
don't.
No.
They will in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah,
will,
they could play him in the
yes.
Big Ten championship,
Which does factor into the
yeah,
Heisman.
when it comes to
Which
award
it
voting,
will.
the championship games do matter.
But at this moment, I think it's Ty Simpson. I think their stats are going to be close enough, and Simpson's, quality of opponent is going to be that much better than Mendoza. So I'm going to rock with Simpson right now.
I'd like to say I did also vote for Ty Simpson, and I am going to stick with Dalton here. I'm going to say Ty Simpson still wins it. He has the yards. He has less turnovers. Mendoza has the touchdowns. I'm going to simply acute that to Signetti liking to run the score up a little bit. But I think the quality of opponent, as Dalton touched on, is simply going to be too much in Simpson's favor, that if he has a complete blunder against one of these upcoming games, which he kind of had against South Carolina, kind of, but he's still at almost 68% completion percentage compared to Mendoza's 73. I think that the committee or whoever votes, all the Heisman voters are going to look at it and they're going to go, do we give it to the SEC guy or the Big Ten guy? They're going to go with the SEC. I got to go Ty Simpson.
Are we sure that he played that bad versus South Carolina?
Yes.
He did.
Fernando Mendoza had a game, too, where he did not look very good.
That's
though.
true, but Fernando Mendoza's game where he looked really bad didn't become against Florida State because Ty Simpson's worst game was against Florida State. Where he looked way worse than he did against South Carolina. And I think Florida State's worse than most of the opponents Fernando Mendoza has faced.
I give him a mulligan for that one, I'm not going to lie. First start on the road at Florida State, and his O-line did him no favors that game.
I mean, Mendoza's first start against Old Dominion.
He didn't look great either.
He didn't look great.
No.
He
didn't
had
have a touchdown.
No touchdowns, or he had a rushing touchdown. Sub 200 yards passing, 58% completion percentage against Old Dominion. Who has looked good. They've looked good in Sun Belt play, but
I think it's become to the point where like it's so close, and I just think Fernando Mendoza to me is a better player, so I just give it to the better player.
Would you give it to the guy who's going to go number one or the guy who had better stats in his QB2 in that class?
I think it's close. I'm not even sure. It's so close. I think Simpson and Mendoza, I flip-flop so much. I just think Mendoza's slightly better. I think the competition is a great argument for Simpson. And if he does win it, I'm not going to be upset either way. But it is Mendoza for me right at this moment.
I think the one thing, and I saw a graphic on this on College Game Day, and I did a little bit of the math. Since week 2, Mendoza has 20 passing touchdowns to 35 incompletions. I think
it's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
I think it's going to come down to the conference title games.
That's fair.
I think whoever plays better in their respective conference title game, and that's me assuming they both make it, and I'm assuming they both make it. I think if whoever goes out there and balls out, if one kind of doesn't perform that very well, I think it's the conference title game is going to be the true decision maker for the voters.
Yeah, like if it's Indiana, Ohio State, which it should be, and Fernando Mendoza goes out and throws for 400, he's going to win the Heisman.
And he should.
It really sucks for Simpson because he's played more tough opponents. But if you go against Ohio State, who I think everybody assumes is the best defense in the country, and you have a great game, they're going to give it to Mendoza if the stats are close.
Is there a chance we have a non-quarterback win it this year?
Not this year.
I thought Hardy might have a shot, but Hardy slowed down a little bit.
That Alabama game, I think, killed the chances, especially now that...
I will add on that after you finish talking, Logan. Is there a different quarterback you can see winning it? Like a Marcel Reed or Julian Sand?
If there is a dark horse at this point, it is Marcel Reed.
He turns the football over too much, in my opinion.
Listen, this is gonna sound so homer.
Oh God!
No!
Just because the stats are crazy. Because like,
if he doesn't turn the ball over, because you look at it,
like 3 of those picks are his fault.
That one against Alabama.
I love Joey, but I think Joey could go out and play out of his mind on Saturday, and he's going to make a dump throw.
I think it takes not turning the ball over for the rest of the year,
which he has shown.
Which
I don't think he's capable of.
But I'm just saying, like I think that's the most far out there one that's possible at this point.
I think Julian's saying. I don't even know if you want to call him a dark horse because I think he's like firm number 3 right now.
I think odds-wise
he is. Reed is 3rd in odds.
No, I think it's Sand.
I think it's Sand, then Marcel Reed. I think I just looked this up, and that's what I saw.
Mendoza, Simpson, Sand, Reed. I think that's how it goes.
I think Simpson and Mendoza are almost tied in odds.
I hate how it's a quarterback award.
Before I look this up, Diego Pavia is going to be embarrassingly high on these odds lists.
I feel like he might have dropped.
Is the second favorite on We Do Not Support Gambling, but on FanDuel, he is the second favorite.
Or he's tied with Ty Simpson.
He's tied with Ty Simpson. Reed is 3rd, and then Diego Pavia and Gunnar Stockton are the other ones.
Diego Pavia's going to win the Heisman. Just ask himself.
It's the most outstanding player is the Heisman. It is not most valuable,
right.
No.
Which is different to everything.
That means that Pavia shouldn't win. Like, if Pavia's not on Vanderbilt's roster, they're not a good team. But it's not most valuable to their team. It's most outstanding
Most outstanding in the country, so it has to be one of those.
If any other Heisman candidate had the game Pavia had on Saturday, they would have been eliminated from Heisman contention. 100%. Pavia did not play well on Saturday.
By the way, I do want to point out, again, happened before the Week 9 slate. Pavia did receive a vote, and
Trinidad
did Haynes
Ruben Bain received a vote.
I want to know who's the psycho who said Ruben Bain.
I did not ask people to include their names in their.
Did Haynes King receive a vote?
Haynes King did not, and Julian Sand did not. That was what I wanted to point out. Sand did not receive a vote from anybody.
Ruben Bain getting a vote is crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I like Ruben Bain, but he's got 2 sacks in the year.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest with it.
Yeah. And it was
He's been
something like
phenomenal,
when I was doing
but-
the write-up, I was like,
He could still be a first-round pick.
I can't use stats to be like, hey, Ruben Bain's the best defensive end in the country because there's no stats
There's
that
no
prove it.
stats that back
You
then.
just
gotta
have to watch
watch.
Ruben Bain play.
And most people won't take time out of their day to do that.
No.
So, I'm going to assume here that everybody's pick that they made for Heisman is going to be their Davey O'Brien winner as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
only
Yeah.
I looked it up. Only 2 QBs that won the Heisman in their year did not win the O'Brien Award.
Who were the?
Since 2010. It was Caleb Williams in 22 and Lamar Jackson in 2016.
I think the
Okay.
Davey O'Brien last year was Shadur Sanders for whatever
That
that's
is
worth.
Which is so
ridiculous.
stupid. That was so dumb.
I was shocked.
Poverty
I was
award.
looking at the
Poverty
previous winners
award.
when doing research for this article, and I was like, Shadur won it? Wow.
All right. Going to quarterback's best friend in the backfield, the Doak Walker. Who do you guys have winning the Doak Walker best running back in the country?
Even after the Week 9 slate and 2 really not great games, it is still Ahmad Hardy for me, and it's really not close. But I do want to shout out Cam Cook at Jack State. Great numbers. He's a G5 team. The opponents are just a little less tough, so I have to give it to Hardy.
Camden?
I think it's Justice Haynes in Michigan.
Wow. Okay.
I think, his yards are almost comparable to Hardy's.
And
He
he has
has
40 less carries almost.
40 less carries, same
His
amount of
yards per carry
touchdowns,
is ridiculous.
7.1 yards per carry. That's the number that does it for me. He's so efficient with his running. He's had 100 plus yards in every game except for USC, and they went down early and were forced to pass the ball. They couldn't get the run game going. He's had, and I know like explosive plays I think are big. He's broken off 3 50-plus yard rushing touchdowns, and he has 9 rushes of 20-plus yards. I think, and you looked earlier in the season, I think that he was the favorite, and now he's kind of fallen off. I think Hardy. I think in the odds, have Hardy as the favorite right now. I think it's Justice Haynes.
I think it's Ahmad Hardy. I like the Justin Haynes pick because I do believe he's very good. But I think that last game against Ohio State, I just don't think he's going to be able to run the ball, or they're going to be able to run the ball that much. So I'm kind of taking that into account. Shout out Robert Henry Jr. averaging 8.3 yards per carry. That's absolutely absurd.
He did get a vote. He was the only other 2 players to receive a vote on our poll for our article was
Because,
Jeremiah
13
Love
out of
and
18
Robert
said
Henry.
Ahmad Hardy.
I said Jeremiah Love.
yeah.
Jeremiah Love,
Dude,
that is...
there's so I think this is the award. I was so shocked that this was the award that had the most votes for a single player because there are so many good options
There
for running
are.
backs.
There
Jonah
are.
Coleman at Washington doesn't have the yards, but is a touchdown machine. Blake Horvath at Navy. Oh, that's the
It's
quarterback.
running back.
Sorry,
But
my
that
bad.
is-
Kawan
what
Lacey
he's
is who
doing- I was about to
looking
say,
at.
what
I
he's
was
doing
looking
is
at Kawan
wild.
Lacey's name, but Blake Horvath is right above it on this stat sheet.
Emmett Johnson's playing well at Nebraska, too. There's a bunch of good backs this year. I put Ahmad Hardy. Maybe that's kind of just based off name, and that was before this last weekend. So take that with a grain of salt. But I think Ahmad Hardy, especially with Prebula being out for the year, or at least the regular
That's fair.
season, I think he's going to
They're going to have to lean on him.
He's going to start racking up some
I
yardage.
got to go Hardy, too. I loved his game when he was at ULM last year.
He's a stud.
So him coming to Mizzou and still showcasing what he was doing at that small school here has been a phenomenal story to watch. I don't think there's a few running backs who could give him a shot. I think the Justice Haynes is a phenomenal pick to potentially be up there, but I think what he's doing is simply too much. He has 80 more yards, 1 more touchdown. That's basically another full bad game. But I don't really see anybody else other than that. Jeremiah Love might get it for name attention alone because he's a great back. They just haven't been using him quite as much.
And I think, and I don't know how much they factor like receiving into a running back award, but a lot of Jeremiah Love's production has been through the air. So
Love's still the clear-cut number 1 running back prospect.
Right,
in the draft,
and
for sure.
I think that's all Nick was saying is like, yeah, they definitely value the fact that at the end of the year, there's probably only one back going in the first round, and it's Jeremiah Love, and there's no debate about it.
Yeah, I was just finding his stats receiving. He has about 200 yards and 20 catches with 3 touchdowns added on to his rushing stats of
I'm not
500.
even sure if Ahmad Hardy has 5
He
catches
does
on
not.
the year.
I think I saw it. He was not great receiving. So Love is definitely the more well-rounded back, but for most outstanding running back,
Yeah.
simply based on that fact, I got to go Ahmad Hardy.
Do we think that changes now that the quarterbacks are out from Mizzou?
No, I think it actually favors Hardy simply
Yeah.
because they're going to have to lean on that ground game a little bit more than they were before and just hope that their quarterback is serviceable enough through the air.
If Ahmad Hardy can stay healthy, taking on a bunch of carries, because he's about to take on a bunch of carries, it's gonna be a great second half of the season for him.
I think it could hurt him though a little bit, low key, because there's no threat of the pass. Why not put 8 in the box? And I think it could hurt him a lot because he might get the yardage, but he might average
Yeah,
like
true.
3
We'll,
points.
we'll see how much they use him this weekend. I think this weekend tells the story for the rest of the
agree
season.
with that.
It might just be looking like Ashton Genty at the end of last year, where they were just stacking the box, staring Maddox, whatever his last name, Madsen?
Maddox Madsen.
Yeah, Mad Max, to go out there and try and pass the ball on him. Moving to receiver, the Blitnikoff, who's your most outstanding receiver. Logan, if you can wait, let me see who was voted as most outstanding.
It was
receiver
Makai
on.
Lemon. I can tell
Makai
you.
Lemon.
Makai Lemon.
From
This one
USC.
was close, I think. It was mostly because everybody after Makai. Yeah, Makai had 5 votes and it won. It was really super close. I think right now it's just because the stats are with Makai Lemon. Out of all the big names that could potentially win it, he's got the most yards. I think he has the most touchdowns. No, Brazel has the most touchdowns out of all the big name choices. But yeah, Makai Lemon is just ridiculous. There was the touchdown where Maivea, how do you say his last name? USC's quarterback. Maava. Yeah, late in the game, he throws a ball and it looks like it's going to hit the pylon, and Makai Lemon adjusts to it, falls down and catches it,
fantastic.
and it puts him up a touchdown late, I believe. It was one of the most insane catches I've ever seen that isn't necessarily your typical highlight reel catch. I'm not sure there's any receiver I trust more with their ball skills. Maybe Jordan Tyson at Arizona State, who's just not in this convo because their offense hasn't been great.
That and he's injured.
Yeah,
he did
true.
get hurt.
He's had injury problems throughout a lot of the season.
But yeah, I just the things I've seen Makai Lemon do to adjust to some honestly not great passes at points this year. I think it's something that every other candidate here has not had to deal with at least a high level quite as much. So I think Lemon is certainly my choice.
Call me crazy. It's got to be Danny Scudero.
Yes.
It's got to be
Camden,
Scudero.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's out of San Jose State. I mean, Nick Nash got absolutely robbed last year.
He did get robbed.
Absolutely robbed.
I don't know how you win the Triple Crown in receiving and don't get the Blitnikoff. That was.
But he plays at San Jose State.
that was good rage bait. Good rage bait. I'm sorry. Continue, Camden.
I mean, 56 receptions, 870 yards, 8 touchdowns, 15.5 yards per reception. I just don't see just because he plays at a group of 5 smaller school, that's the only argument that you have against him because we were talking about it before the show, strength of opponents. I think that's your only argument against him. I was doing a little bit more math. With the guys who are leading the nation in yards, Scudero has the least percentage of his team's catches.
Wow.
So, Skylar Bell has 35% of his team's catches, and Scudero's at 31, which, I mean, it is, it's
the lion's share of the catches,
right.
But
yeah, but I think, and who else? Chase Hendricks out of Ohio has 37%. So I think it's Scudero.
I do not. I think I'm going to go with Makai Lemon. I think there's a bunch of good options this year. I do like Scudero, but I think the only way that San Diego State receiver, and we have seen in the past, if they win the Triple Crown, that's not even guaranteeing it. And Scudero is not going to win the Triple Crown, in my opinion. He's second. He's not leading the country in receptions or touchdowns right now, and I don't think he's going to catch up to Surratt for touchdowns right now. So I'm going to go Makai Lemon just because he has done some ridiculous things, and I think that Lincoln Riley offense and their running back got hurt recently, so I think they're going to have to throw
I think they started their 3rd string running back in their most recent game.
So they're going to have to air the ball out a little more. Maava to Lemon. I think Lemon's just going to get a bunch of yardage these last couple of weeks. He's going to stat pad. He's not stat padding, but he's just going to, boost those stats enough for him to get it. I don't hate Scudero and I don't hate San Jose State University, but I think at some point strength of opponent has to mean something.
It has to be.
I think this year, in comparison to last year, like Nick Nash's stats last year at San Jose State were better than everybody's by like quite a little bit. But like he's only got 120 more yards.
I will say if Scudero does win it this year, it is a makeup for Nick Nash last year.
Yes.
Yeah, Nick Nash deserved it last year.
I agree with that. I think Mekhi Lemon and I think. Shoot, you can argue Brazil. I like Surratt at Indiana. He's not going to win it, but I like him a lot. I just think there's so many options above Scudero right now, and Scudero's not going to get the media hype that he should playing at San Jose State and not getting those primetime games. So I'm going to go with Lemon.
Before I make my selection, I will say that some other guys that received the votes from the Rock Solid staff are Chris Brazzell, UT's own.
Yep.
I don't think he wins it.
No.
Jeremiah Smith, who was pretty much only up there because name recognition.
Yeah, name value. That happens a lot in this poll.
It really
we'll talk
does.
about it later with some of the winners, honestly.
We saw Elijah Surratt. Sorry. You guys have mentioned him. Danny Scudero. Oh, my God.
It's Scudero.
I saw the typos tripping me. Jordan Tyson, who's hurt, and Mario Craver, who's had a great year, but I don't think he's going to win it.
Mario Craver, I was really happy that he got it. I actually believe I'm the one who voted for Mario Craver. So I didn't think he would win it. I wanted to throw his name in there. He's been absolutely excellent. I think he's honestly a little bit better than Chris Brazzell. I think he's the second best receiver. I think he's the best receiver in the SEC. So I really wanted to make sure he got his name in there. Great receiver.
Any more glazing you want to do on him?
Not on him, but just some names that didn't get thrown out there. Denzel Boston, Chris Bell, two guys who are going to go at the worst, the second round in the NFL draft, both having great seasons as well. Chris Bell, great game against Miami. That's probably where he made his name. But both of those guys, great talents who deserve to have their names said during the segment.
All right. I am going to change what I said from the poll. I said Danny Scudero. Jack Glennon, good friend of everybody here. He was very ecstatic that I said Scudero. I think he might have been the other guy that voted for him. But I'm going to change it up. I'm going to go with the guy that I think could potentially win the Triple Crown. It's going to be Skylar Bell at UConn. He has 2 less receptions than everybody else and leading. He has second most yards receiving out of anybody in the country, and he is 2 touchdowns shy of leading the country in touchdown receptions. That is definitely something to keep an eye on. If he manages to pull that off, UConn's not great, but it is something to keep an eye on. UConn,
he is
great. If you want to watch him,
they're playing some bad defenses, by the way. They have UAB, Air Force, and Florida Atlantic in their last
Duke
4.
Still,
there is a chance if they want to try to award bait and just get him as much targets as possible.
At this point in the
it
season,
could legitimately work.
I would say do it. Just do it. Yeah. Get it done. Get him as force
do what
feed
Joe
him the
Flacco's
rock.
doing in the NFL with Jamar Chase.
Just
20 targets a game. Get him the ball. Just throw it every time. Get upset the second he drops one.
All right, we're going to tight ends next to John Mackey. I got to go Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt. I think you touched on it phenomenally, Logan, in your article. I did vote Stowers. He doesn't have the greatest production, but he has been phenomenal for the Commodores.
Yeah, I think this is one of those where originally when he won, I was like, man, that's just because he's an elite draft prospect. Then I thought about it. And I watched some Vanderbilt highlights. This is genuine. This is how I researched for this article. Every single big run they have, the lead blocker is Eli Stowers. Every single big pass play they have, Eli Stowers is blocking. If they need a big third down conversion, it's 3rd and 5. Eli Stowers is catching the pass. It is ridiculous how involved he is when he's not involved in the play. They've put him in the backfield in like a fullback set a few times this year, and they've run him in front of Cedric Alexander mainly and MK Young. Who are a great duo. They are a great duo because Eli Stowers is clearing the path for him. I think probably the best blocking tight end in the entire country, and he's also still a great pass catcher. I didn't vote for him. I voted for Kenyon Sadiq, but after doing as much research as I could, I am not at all sad about Stowers winning, and I probably would have voted for him.
I'm going to go against that. I think it's Michael Trigg out of Baylor. He's has the most yards out of any tight end.
Correct.
tied for second in touchdowns, top 5 in receptions.
Yep.
And I don't know. I happen to watch a lot of Baylor film.
Any particular reason for that, Camden? Or
Not my childhood team. Definitely not my childhood team. But he is a very good blocker as well. And a lot of what Baylor likes to do is the Tennessee style, a little wide receiver screen action. And they'll put Michael Trigg out wide, and he'll go and he'll block corners, and he'll go and he'll reach safeties. And that's been he's been really, really efficient in blocking for those. Also, I don't know, I'm sure you did, the catch against Kansas State.
Yeah.
That catch was absolutely insane. I happened to be in attendance for that game. And I've never seen somebody control a ball with one hand, basically his fingers, and be able to control it and still keep the defender away from him. I don't know. I think it's Trigg.
I think there's a bunch of good options this year. I also put Trigg on the Google form, but I like the Stowers pick a little because I think Stowers is probably the most important tight end in the offense. It's clear that he's their number one guy. Probably is looking for Stowers on every play, and even when he's not getting the pass, he's used as a decoy. He's running, he's got so much attention on him, and he is a great blocker. So I put Trigg because I think Trigg is the best tight end in the country, he's definitely the best receiving tight end in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But I shout out Stowers because I think Stowers is more important to his team than Trigg is, if that makes sense.
Stowers, I think he's definitely the best tight end prospect in this class.
Yeah, I think Sadiq is probably the one that's going to go ahead of him, which makes no sense to me, just because Stowers is better at everything Sadiq does, in my opinion. But we were talking earlier about how valuable Pavia is to Vanderbilt in comparison to other Heisman contenders. I think the reason that it stops him from being an actual Heisman contender is because Eli Stowers is just as important to that team. Yes. That offense does not run without Stowers just as much as it doesn't run without Pavia.
Very true, very true. We've got tight ends out the way. We're moving to the trenches. Give me your Outland most outstanding trench player, Logan.
This one was fun. Got a lot of different responses for this. I voted for Brian Parker II from Duke. Has the least amount of allowed pressures this year, hasn't allowed a sack. Just dominant. Obviously, he's playing not as highly touted competition as some of the other guys on the list, but I think it's hard to quantify why an offensive lineman is better, but any stat you can find on why an offensive lineman is good, Brian Parker II is number one in it.
I had a tough time choosing this one. I liked Hinsman out of Ohio State a lot, but I specifically like Lomu. I think that's how you say his name, out of Utah, the tackle prospect. I think he's an absolute stud, but maybe I went off name value, but I did Francis Mauigoa out of Miami. I like Mauigoa a lot. Playing right tackle for them, he's a stud, and he's truly the best offensive lineman they have. I think he's the best offensive lineman in the ACC. In my opinion, I like Mauigoa a lot. Now, pro-wise, I have seen some stuff that he might be a better guard than he is a tackle.
Yeah, I think he plays tackle, at least for his first year, personally. But
I've been following Mauigoa since I thought Tennessee was going to get him in high school. So maybe it's biased, so I just think Mauigoa is a stud. He's been a stud for a while now.
Yeah, I think, to your point, I think Hinsman at Ohio State, I think he wins the Remington. I think he'll win the best center. But I did pick Mauigoa for the Outland. I think he is the best tackle in the nation. I don't really. It's hard to look for stats for that.
Right.
It's hard to find them.
It's super hard to find them.
And PFF's kind of not great all the time.
Yeah. It's hard to trust PFF.
And most of the stats for a lineman you have to pay for, which sucks.
Yeah.
But I think so. Realistically, all you have to go off is film. I like Mauigoa the most.
Nick?
I've got to go with the other Utah lineman, Spencer Fano.
Fano's a stud,
He
too.
said he is an absolute stud.
Fano's a stud, too.
You want to talk about
Utah
draft prospects?
Yeah.
That is a big name value
He's
one.
going to be top
Sure.
5 pick 100%.
This is Utah offense has been phenomenal this year running. They've got 2,000 rushing yards as a team already. phenomenal. I get some of that is also Devin Dampier. I got to mention him a little bit, Logan. Devin Dampier's just been fantastic through the ground as well, through the air, which is their quarterback. So that definitely helps towards that number. But having a big blocker like Spencer Fano out there, according to the Utah Utes page, Google AI says different, but according to the page, he has yet allowed a sack yet per PFF. But just 5 pressures, 5 hurries. He's been fantastic. I think that I agree that it's very hard to find stuff for an O-line. You just kind of have to watch.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have time to do that.
Yeah, and we haven't mentioned his name yet. So the guy who actually won this award was Caden Proctor, the offensive lineman out of Alabama.
That's
probably the
just
second.
It is
Probably the
biggest
second
name.
offensive lineman off the board. I think it's name bias. I also think genuinely it might be because he almost scored a touchdown twice.
Yeah.
Like that might legitimately just be
he-
like it's easy to name the guy who they keep trying to score touchdowns with.
You think
he is the
Proctor's going to be the second,
I would be shocked if it's not Proctor. It's
thought it was-
between him and Malagoa.
I thought it was gonna be.
I don't
Malachi.
think it's going to
It's gonna. I think it's gonna be Proctor.
I think
I think
Proctor's got a
because-
lot of questions.
Physically, Proctor is more fit to play tackle at the NFL level than
That's true.
Francis. Like you were saying,
Yeah.
You're
people
right.
may want to move Francis to guard. That makes him less valuable to draft because guards are just less important than tackles.
Proctor's going to have to lose some weight, though. Like,
Yeah.
that's been a problem for a while now, and if it's a
Yeah.
continuous
It
issue...
happens to be a problem with Alabama a lot, which I think is something. It's got to be intentional at this point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
J.C. Latham came in overweight, drafted by the Tennessee Titans. He's been shedding weight the entire time. They've had to move him from left to right. Looks like they might move him to guard now in the future.
Leatherwood had that problem, too, for a while.
Yeah, so it seems like Alabama just likes their guys big. Caden Proctor's athletic for a guy.
That's true.
He
He
is
is very.
very athletic. Moving to the Beneric most outstanding defensive player, I'm going to go first this time. I got to some propaganda to preach. Arvell Reese, linebacker, Ohio State.
Ah.
Most versatile defender in the entire country.
Yeah.
This is a guy that could rush the passer phenomenally. He's great in coverage. He's just the modern-day linebacker that everybody wants, and he's doing a fantastic job of just dominating every chance he gets at Ohio State so far. All right, Logan, you can continue.
I was shocked Arvell Reese only got 1 vote.
That was me.
I assume so. But I did vote for Ruben Bain. It's just, again, we said it earlier, that there's not a stat that you could put on. Yeah, he only has 2 sacks on the year. Watch Miami play football and tell me that isn't the most important player on that team. And I just don't think you should be allowed to talk football. He's absolutely one of the most impactful defenders I've ever seen. He's going to be probably the first edge off the board in the draft. Just dominant in a way that almost works against him because sometimes, and it happened a lot in the Stanford game, he would bull rush the tackle and get so far in the backfield that the running back had the ball in front of it because he had pushed the tackle so far back. So it's one of those things where, like, I think maybe he needs to learn to use his strength a little better and to rush inside a little more just to get those run stuffs, and that would improve his numbers. But either way, it's one of those things. There's no numbers that can quantify how good Ruben Bain is.
Yeah. I said I don't remember who I voted for in the poll, but I think it's Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech.
Mhm.
I think to your point with Arvell Reese, he's not better, and I don't think he's like on the same level, but just as good as in coverage as he is. 69 tackles, 1 sack, 4 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, 5 forced fumbles, 1 fumble return, or 1 fumble recovery, 1 touchdown. I think the 5 forced fumbles is really what does it
that's
for me.
huge.
Yeah.
His ability to create turnovers, I think, is, and it's a big reason why Texas Tech is the second best defense in the nation, according to stop rate. They have a defensive stop rate at 82.1%. They allow 0.97 points a drive, and I think that like a lot of that is on the back of Jacob Rodriguez.
I will say, I'm looking at his page right now. At Virginia, he was an offensive player.
Was he really?
He had 10 carries for 56 yards and 8 catches for 65 yards.
Dude, it sounds like one of those things. Tight ends and fullbacks and running backs get converted to linebackers a lot.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah.
And I know that linebackers can tend to get converted to running backs. I've seen
Like
that
that
happen.
can happen.
I wouldn't be shocked if he was scouted out of high school as both a running back and a linebacker.
I picked Cassius Howell. I think Cassius Howell is the
Yeah,
clear
fair.
best defensive player in the SEC at least, and just I think his impact on the game is clear and is as big as any other player in the country. The way he rushes the quarterback is incredible, and even when he doesn't get to the quarterback, he's moving their feet. He's collapsing the pocket. He's making the quarterback get on the move. It's just that LSU game specifically, and even the Florida game, he technically only had one tackle in the Florida game and only got a sack, which was a sack. But that Florida game, if you watched it, there was not one play where Barber is a projected top 3 round draft pick, and he gave Barber a 0 pass blocking grade. Cassius Howell won every single rep. He's an animal. What he did versus LSU was huge. I think the thing that might hold him back a little bit is he is just a pure pass rusher.
He's a boomer bust.
Yeah, he doesn't get the tackles. He doesn't get a bunch of the other stats, but he is the best pass rusher in the country. I know he's second in stats to
David Bailey.
Yeah, David Bailey out of
Texas
Texas
Tech.
Tech.
David Bailey.
But Cassius Howell's impact on the game is so big to me. I think he is the best defensive player in the country right now.
Is your pick for the most outstanding defensive player the same for your best edge rusher?
Yes.
Whose is? Yours is?
Mine is.
Mine's not.
Yours is not. Is yours, Logan?
Mine is
Baines
not.
Okay. We're going to skip you, Dalton, on this one. But
fair.
for most outstanding edge rusher, who do you have?
I picked David Bailey for the article, though I would say Cassius Howell after David Bailey did nothing against Oklahoma State, whose offensive line is not good. I would probably flip it to Cassius Howell now. I think it's just I wanted to Ruben Bade's been so good. He has not been the best edge rusher.
No.
There's a difference. He's not been the best pass rusher. It had been David Bailey up until this point. Cassius Howell took it over this week, in my opinion, because David Bailey did nothing against a bad Oklahoma State team.
I will say David Bailey is mine also simply because he leads the country in sacks.
Yeah.
I will say the best edge rusher is whoever gets the most sacks in the country. I feel like that's a fair analysis
Cassius Howell
of the
is
award.
only a half sack back.
Only a half sack back.
If it's just that and neither of them produce for the rest of the way, David Bailey. But if Cassius Howell continues to wreak havoc on lines but doesn't get sacks, I think it could potentially go to him.
I have Cassius Howell as my best rusher. His stats. I mean, he has 10 sacks and he has 16 tackles. So, like I said, he's very boomer bust.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not sacking the quarterback, he's really not doing much. But I mean, A&M has the most sacks in the nation.
Yeah,
and I think that the fact that he's the best edge rusher on the best defensive pressure team, and his best games, their games where they played non-conference opponents were worse than his games against SEC opponents, which I think that helps his case a little bit. He also has 3 pass deflections at the line. That's also
big.
I think that's pretty big as well.
Those are game changers for sure.
Yeah.
If you get your big guy sticks a big old paw up there and deflects a pass, that can definitely change a game in ways that are very hard to quantify. So, do you want to add anything about Cassius Howell, Dalton?
No, I said my piece.
You said your piece.
I said my piece.
Got it. So we're moving to the most outstanding linebacker, the Dick Buckus Award. I'm continuing my Arvell Reese propaganda. I will not speak on that any farther. Logan?
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, this is the one that had the most vote splits in the entire thing because he only got 3 votes and he won it. I was shocked he only got 3 votes. I voted for Arvell Reese. I think he's by far the best linebacker in the country. It's hard, like I said earlier, it's hard to quantify defensive players sometimes. It's not hard to quantify Arvell Reese. 5.5 sacks as an off-ball linebacker. He's fantastic in man and zone coverage. He's great as a pass defender. It is insane how well he moves out of zone coverage sometimes where you could see like a slot receiver's coming across, they're on a slant. It should be an easy completion. Not if Arvell Reese is there. By far the best linebacker in the country to me. He's probably going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. At the very worst, top 15. He's my favorite prospect in the draft because of just how much he can do. Such a fun player to watch.
Camden?
Because he was my Bednarik winner, I had Rodriguez as my Buckus winner.
That's fair. Dalton?
I put Arvell Reese. At least I think I did. Don't hold me to that. But if I didn't, it's definitely Arvell Reese now because his impact on the game is truly amazing. To do what he's done a year, he is truly the best player on that defense, which I think it's crazy because I think he has been better than Caleb Downs this year. His impact is truly incredible. He's one of the big reasons their run defense is so good and why their defense is good as a whole. So definitely Arvell Reese. I think come playoff time, a bunch of people are going to see his impact on a national stage.
You put it because a lot of people aren't watching these Ohio State games because
just
they're
all
not playing
blowouts.
anybody.
They're not
Yeah.
fun to watch because they're so good that they're just
controlling the
beating the
game
crap
on the
out of people.
defensive side, and I feel like the main guy, main culprit behind that is Arvell Reese, and then who I picked for the Jim Thorpe, who we're talking about next, Caleb Downs. He is another guy on that defense. The two absolute dogs over there, at least by name-wise. I've got to go Caleb Downs. He's most talented safety that I've seen in the country this year, and I don't really think it's close either.
Yeah, Ohio State's the best defense in the country for a reason. Arvell Reese and Caleb Downs, and I think personally Caleb Downs is a little better. So to me, Caleb Downs is the mastermind behind the best defense in the country. The stats, again, hard to quantify defensive stats. Caleb Downs doesn't have a pass deflection. It's because if somebody's about to catch a ball in his area, he's going to rock them as hard as he can. He doesn't get his hands on the ball. He gets his hands on the receiver. He's one of my favorite players to watch. It's so weird to have a defensive player that's fun to watch to me, and Caleb Downs is just everything I want to see in a defensive player.
Don't call me biased. I said Colton Hood. I think just the way he's been playing this year, 7 pass breakups, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 touchdown. I think he's been the best corner in the SEC so far this season. He's allowed 11 catches on 27 targets. I think that also really helps his case. And also, he's very good at tackling in open space, which has not been the case for a lot of Tennessee
players.
defenders this season.
All Tennessee defenders not named Arian Carter or Colton Hood, honestly.
Even
Yeah,
Arian Carter
legit.
misses some tackles.
Yeah.
He has to be out there so often. Arian Carter does
Yeah.
simply
he's not
because
gonna-
of depth.
If he's not getting the tackle, it's Hood or a touchdown.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I think it's Hood. That might be a little biased, and I can definitely see the case for Downs. I could also see a guy whose tape jumps out to me, Jamel Johnson out of TCU.
dude,
Yeah,
He's
so
legit.
so underrated.
So underrated. He's legit. So
I like I understand the Colton Hood pick, but recently, mainly versus Arkansas and Bama, he has given up some catches. Specifically, the Arkansas game. I know it was one play, and it was just an absolute dot from Taylon Green, but just right over his head. So there's been a couple plays that have kind of soured on me, and with him being kind of banged up right now, that's kind of turned me off from that. But I think it's Caleb Downs because of his impact on the game. His stats aren't popping out, because no one's really trying him. He's great in run defense. I believe he's a generational safety prospect. I believe he's that good. I believe he's that special. So I think it's Caleb Downs. I think it's not crazy to say that Ohio State has two of the top 3 defenders in college football.
Yeah, I mean, they were saying Malachi Starks was one of the best safety prospects ever. Anyway,
Downs is
he went at what, 14-ish,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that. Downs is going to go top 3.
he's that
For a
good.
safety,
Top
that
3
is
is
insane.
wild.
Top 3 is coming
Dude,
wild.
it's
Top
okay.
10 for sure.
Top 10 for sure.
It depends on how
sure.
the draft falls. I think there are teams that would take him over an edge rusher or a quarterback.
I mean, is he the best safety prospect since Eric Berry?
He might.
Would you have
honestly,
put
as a
him above
prospect,
Jamal Adams?
Yes.
As a prospect?
Yes.
As a
Is
prospect.
He
Is
might be
he
the
a
best
better
since
prospect
Edwards.
than Tyrann Matthew?
I don't know, man. Tyrann
That's
Matthew.
hard because the
Tyrann
off the
Matthew
field
was a Heisman
the
candidate.
off the field stuff of Tyrann Matthew has kind of complicated that whole thing.
Yeah, I think Tyrann Matthew was just. I don't know. I would say genuinely, I don't know if I have seen a safety prospect this good in my lifetime, and I just based on what I know from history, he's probably the best one since Ed Reed, in my opinion.
Wow.
I think
Wow.
that's a little Eric Berry
Wow.
disrespect, but hey.
I love Eric Berry, VFL, but hey.
As we're coming to a close on these awards that Logan has kindly gone out of his way to go create for Rock Solid Sports, WUTK Radio, go check that out on the page. It's a great read. Great read. Good job, Logan.
Appreciate it.
We're going to the final award he mentioned, the Paul Bear Bryant Coach of the Year Award. These results shocked me, I won't lie to you. I personally had Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lea, what he's done with that program, specifically going and getting a guy like Pavia. He's turned a program that has been dead for a century and has made them a national title contender. Whether you like it or not, whether you think they're going to get there or not, they are there right now. Will they continue that? I don't think so. But different topic. What they're doing this year is incredible. I got to go with him.
Yeah, I think Kirk Cignetti won the vote, and I think the reason that is because, like, Vanderbilt's going from, like, bad to they were decent last year to now they're great. Indiana's going from great to it looks like they could become a powerhouse in college football, and I think that's what it comes down to. I agree with you. I voted for Clark Lee.
Okay.
I was the other Clark Lee vote. Diego Pavia is their quarterback. He's not statistically dominant. They have Eli Stowers, who's a great player. We talked about him earlier. Outside of that, they don't have anybody I see as an NFL prospect on their team.
They don't.
And they're probably going to win at least 9 games.
They find ways to win games.
We're talking about
They're
Vanderbilt.
so gritty. So
We are
gritty.
talking about Vanderbilt on a podcast about college football.
That's true.
Why are we
Laughing
talking about
stock.
Vanderbilt? Because Clark Lee is a mad genius. I don't even know how to quantify. There's a 5-star quarterback coming into Georgia that might flip to Vanderbilt and Jared Curtis.
I did
He
hear
said
that.
he
going
said he
to?
only went there for game day.
I understand he says he's not going to. He showed up.
The
If
fact that
he
we're
wasn't
talking
considering
about it is
he wouldn't have shown
wild.
up.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
True.
So, like, I mean, it is so nuts to me that Vanderbilt, of all teams, is looking like they might be a playoff team, and that's mostly because of Clark Lee.
Yeah. When we were talking about national champions earlier, I think that my pick hinted at this. I think it's Elko.
That I
That's
will
fair.
say that is a
That makes
very
a lot.
underrated
I
guy
think-
in
I
this
think-
conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this year is the year that they get over that 8-4 hump, which
I would hope so.
I would hope
I
so.
really hope so
I would really
now.
hope so.
You should see the eyes I'm giving Camden right now about that.
But Elko's always been a defensive mastermind, and like that's no different. Like their defense this year is pretty dang good, but it's the offense this year that's like really turned heads. I think for A&M, they're
Mhm.
21st in the nation in total offense. I think, and I don't know if y'all have looked at their running back stats. They have 5, and granted, they have 5 running backs who are in triple-digit rushing yards. 5 running backs, plus what Marcel Reed has on the ground. I think that with just everything, the way he's turned around the program, and granted, it wasn't a terrible program when he took over.
No, but they were perennial 8-4.
Perennial 8-4.
Getting them to where they are this year
I think-
is a fantastic
yeah.
job by him.
And I think that, and his ability to go grab people out of the portal has also
Yes.
been crazy for A&M. I think it's Elko this year, and I want to say Clark Lea is good. I think my runner up would be Brent Key over Clark Lea, but I do like Clark Lea as well.
I went with the typical answer. I went Cignetti. Maybe that was a good answer last year, but I still like him this year because I had a lot of questions going into the year about how
Can
good
they do it again?
Can they do it
Yeah.
again, especially after
That's a-
losing Curtis Rourke and losing some of their production last year. And I think people have forgotten because of these last 2 years. Indiana was the Vanderbilt of the Big Ten. They are not a good football program. They're not.
Yeah.
As I struggle with my
As he
headphones
strugg-
over
yeah.
here.
But and the fact that he has gotten them back to the point where it's not crazy to say they're going to win the national championship. Now people might look at you sideways, but is it that insane?
Yeah.
Like isn't that
No, it's
Not-
it's
it
not.
really
It's
it's
not
not.
insane.
So I put Cignetti. There's a lot of good options. I like Brent Key a lot, but the thing with Brent Key and the thing with Clark Lee that I kind of soured on me a little bit, and I know it's a 1-year award, but if I have to look at Vanderbilt and go, what are they going to be after Pavia? And I have serious questions of, are they going to be a bowl team when Pavia leaves? That kind of makes me hesitant on Clark Lee. And Brent Key, same thing with Haynes King, even though I trust Georgia Tech a little more because I like Aaron Philo, Georgia Tech's backup quarterback. But I went Cignetti. It's the basic answer, but what he's done for that Indiana program is truly something we haven't seen in college football before,
I thought about Cignetti, but I didn't think that they would give it to him 2 years in a row.
which is fair. That's not a crazy assumption. They probably won't.
If they make a deep enough run in the playoffs, they should.
Yeah.
I will say
If
that.
they win a playoff game this year,
if
it's
they
Indiana,
go
man.
to the
Again,
Final
we're talking
Four.
about Indiana. I know I just made this point with Vanderbilt. We're talking about Indiana.
That is very true. I will say one guy or a few guys that I will say that have done a fantastic job that aren't getting a lot of national media is BYU's head coach Kalani Sitake, however you pronounce his name. This is their second year in a row of being great. I don't think we touched on, or the national media touched on how good they were last year. They went 11-2. They were 5-7 the year before. He's done a fantastic job. They're 8-0, and then if they somehow run the run the tables of the ACC, you got to look at Tony Elliott at Virginia for this.
Yes, I love Tony Elliott.
Yeah.
What he's done with a program like Virginia that was down in the dumps for as long as it was is almost akin. We're all comparing these programs here. The ACC's Vanderbilt or Indiana could be said that to be Virginia over the last few years. So what he's done there is phenomenal. But once again, I think that it's got to go to Clark Lee. What he's done with Vanderbilt's incredible.
I just want to throw it here. You mentioned Tony Elliott and Brent Key in that discussion. One ACC coach did receive a vote in this poll. It was neither one of those. It was Jeff Brom from Louisville.
That is
Brom's
atrocious.
a good coach,
Brom's a
but
good coach.
Louisville's been pretty good, so I don't think that.
Dude, you know what's funny? And the only reason I found this out is because they beat Miami. The day after they beat Miami, I got that video of that XFL player going, "Is this or is this not the XFL?"
Am
Because
I
he's
or am
playing
I
with
not
a
breathing?
concussion. That's Jeff Brom,
Yeah.
Louisville head coach.
Yeah.
I had no idea, dude. That guy is now one of the best coaches in college football. Maybe not like top 10, but he's still a great coach.
He is.
He's a
Yeah.
great coach. He did great at Purdue before he jumped ship to Louisville.
He might be one of those guys that the big job openings, like LSU, Penn State, Florida, because they're not all going to be able to get the home run hires.
Yeah, somebody's going to strike out on
Yeah.
the guys. like Kiffin or-
Somebody's going to take a shot on an up and coming coach. I would say most of these guys are going to take a shot at an up and coming coach, and it's not going to work out. I would say they would have a better chance of hitting with Jeff Brom based on his track record. He had the spoiler makers at Purdue.
Yeah.
They always found a way to win an upset game sometime. Louisville did it this year against Miami, which has really thrown them back into the conversation to make the playoffs. Jeff Brom's a great coach. Coach of the year, pushing it for me, but still great coach. Anybody have anything else to say?
I think one more point, like you said, with the media attention with BYU, Tech gets a lot more media attention with BYU, but Joey McGuire is a heck of a coach.
He's a heck of a coach.
Heck of a coach. And I think that if they were to run the table in the Big 12 and win that Big 12 championship, you could have an argument for him to be there. I don't think he'll win it.
The only thing I'd say about McGuire winning it is how much news and like how national media is focused on how expensive that roster
That's
is
what I was
compared to
gonna
his
say.
actual coaching
It
ability.
has come to a point where like oil money isn't even a joke. They just use oil money to pay
They
players.
They do. And
So
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know this. Lubbock is in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Yeah.
There is
nothing to do.
nothing around Lubbock, so it is a wonder. I mean, and like yes, and money is a big factor, but it takes a lot to get a player out to Lubbock.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will say that. So
All right, that's going to wrap it up for the first episode of Blue Chip Recruits. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys for listening. If you're on listening, we'll be back sometime next week for your second episode. We'll probably touch more on the actual games, but as we're wrapping up mid-season, going to week 10 now, looking at awards and looking at the great article that good friend Logan Starkey wrote right here next to me.
appreciate it.
We wrapped up this episode, and we want to thank you guys for listening. Peace.